Good afternoon and welcome everyone to today's webinar. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today for this instructive webinar. This is Kiran, CMO at Ingrizon. With a rich legacy of 12 successful years, we stand a pioneer in the software industry, dedicated to in our commitment to delivering innovative solutions that empower our esteemed clients for long-term success. As part of more awareness and understanding on SAP new upgrades, today the webinar session is on SAP DMS. There will be a dedicated Q&A section at the end. Meantime, you can submit all your queries in the Q&A section. So those will be addressed at the final 15 minutes of Q&A session. Without delay, I extend a warm welcome to today's webinar presenter, Mr. Nalini Kumar, CEO of Ingrizon. Over to you, Nalini.
Yeah, thank you, Kiran. Good afternoon, everyone. We thought of discussing about this topic for quite some time, but after we observed with many customers the way they are using it SAP DMS, we felt that there is a need of a little bit more education required or the awareness required to the customers. That's why we planned or we started this webinar today. Hope I'm audible to all of you. And I'm on my presentation screen. I hope my screen is visible to you. Kiran, can you confirm me?
Yes, Nalini. It's clear.
Okay. So in today's webinar, I would like to give you a brief about DMS importance, and after that, how you can plan the DMS. Okay, it's not only for standard transactions, what else we can do. And next week, we have one more webinar that is more towards by taking one simple use case of automating a business process with DMS, okay, with the help of DMS. And followed by more webinars are there on the DMS. At 3 to 4 webinars we are planning on the DMS series. Okay, for today's webinar, I'll just go through the following pointers. I'll make you aware of what is a DMS, how does it work and all. By this time, most of you are already aware, and some of the key features we should consider in the DMS and benefits of implementing SAP DMS. We are going to discuss on this, and some sample use cases where all we can use the DMS or the industry use cases we can discuss. And implementation considerations, how you can plan your DMS implementations. It's a bold topic, but I would like to highlight what all the things you should consider while you are implementing DMS. And at the end, we can discuss a Q&A. Okay, so I'll take you to the briefing of DMS. So by this time, you might be aware what is the DMS, but I would like to brief. Okay, without DMS, it's like document management system. DMS full form is a document management system. And it's a digital form of storing the documents related to your organization or the business processes or whatever happens within your organization as part of a document creations. Okay, so without the DMS, you can see that we use it to maintain a lot of files or the folders in a storage, and there is to be a dedicated storage to be maintained for these files. And we need to safeguard these files for at least 7 years as per statutory and all. Okay, so it's hard to maintain it. It's easy to consume a lot of space and maintenance activities. And also it's very hard to retrieve these documents. Suppose any query came from the department or anything you want to verify during some conflict or some sort of verification is required for review, then finding the document is a challenge. After that, going to the exact document and retrieving it is usually to take days time, or sometimes these storage locations usually to be somewhere outside, considering the space constraints in your prime office. So there used to be a lot of dependencies on these physical files. So to eliminate that, the DMS is going to solve that problem. Okay, and we can translate all these documents into a digital format through scanning solutions, and after that we can store them in the DMS systems. There are various DMS systems available in the market. Okay, but we are focusing more on the SAP DMS because it's part of your license. As part of your ERP license, you are entitled to use it without any additional licenses. So why can't you utilize it in a better manner? So the main purpose of the DMS is like scanning the physical documents and storaging of those documents, and you need to categorize those documents. There are various types of documents involved, right? So you need to categorize them or classify them. Okay, so those categorization of documents will be part of DMS. And retrieval, how you can search back those documents, how you can identify those documents. Okay, so the retrieval mechanisms, tracking in case of any changes happens in the document, how do you track, how do you share, how do you search? In case of revision, how do you control? So all those aspects will be taken care by the DMS. In case the data growth is there, how do you archive? How do you distribute these documents across the multiple parties or the systems? All these concepts can be handled as part of the SAP DMS. And the good part with SAP DMS is like it's from the SAP family system, so it can integrate with any of the SAP ERP like SAP ECC or SAP S4 HANA or SAP CRM, SRM, or the PLM. There are various systems of SAP are there, so it can easily integrate with any of those systems or any of the NetWeaver stack systems, I can say. It has the integration capability, and it will communicate through the HTTP protocol or HTTPS protocol. So it's very easy to integrate without much difficulty. So some of the key features, already few we have discussed, okay, like storage and categorization. Digitalize the documents, store them, categorize them like invoices, contracts, or the sales orders, or the quotations, or some export imports documentations, or some non-disclosure agreements, or some special contract, rental contracts, or the agreements. So any type of document, you categorize them, you store them in the right buckets or the repositories, and after that you should be able to control the version of them. And status management of documents. This is mainly to control the status. Suppose someone, it's mainly for the maker and checker process. Someone load the documents to the system, so it may be in the draft state. After that, you want to enable a workflow on that one, so that someone need to approve it. Once approves, it will go for it will consider the final copy. So something like that. That is part of the status management of these documents. It's like draft, final, or the revised, or after revision final version, and archived. All those statuses will be maintained as part of status management of documents. And most important thing is the access control and permissions. Because you are dumping a lot of documents in a single place, the security is going to be the biggest or the important thing. Okay, so there are various ways to access control these things in the SAP DMS framework. Okay, so you can enable the right access to the right people only. The documents can be accessible to the right people only. They can view the data. Some cases you can enable only view access. In some places, or the particular set of people, you want to enable the change or the edit or delete accesses. So all those can be controlled through the standard authorization framework of SAP. And on top of it, there are few additional authorization concepts available in DMS to handle those. And check-in, check-out of documents. This is mainly for the versioning of the documents. You can check out and you can modify and check in the document with the new version names and with the comments or the notes. All those can be done. And integration with other SAP modules. This can be integratable with almost every module of SAP, like SAP sales and distribution, or the finance, or the production planning, or the plant maintenance. In almost every module, SAP has given an inbuilt feature of DMS integration capabilities at the standard transaction level. And search and retrieval capabilities. This is if you want to search a document, it's hard for you to remember the document number and go there and search it, right? With the name or some keywords also, you can be able to search. That mechanism also available as part of SAP DMS. And special characteristics, there are specific set of fields available as part of standard DMS. Apart from that, you want to build more metadata about a document, like you want to add more fields of data to capture against a document. So you can add new fields for a specific document type or the category, and you can maintain the data. They can be useful as part of the search or further approval process or any further process of the documents. Easy reporting. There are various reports provided by SAP for DMS. You can utilize them to bulk access of the documents, view them, or access them. And you can link these documents to SAP standard objects. Like you can see here, either it's a master data like customer master, vendor master, or the material master, or it can be as transactional data like inquiry, quotation, sales contracts, various. It's like almost every module wise, you can see that almost every document type is getting, it's like nature of the business transaction is getting captured or considered as part of the DMS integration options point of view. Okay. And the purchase, that it can be a purchase order, goods receipt, or the vendor invoice. So at each level, you can attach the documents. Those documents can be accessible directly from those T codes or from the document repository. Both the ways it is possible. So some of the key benefits we'll go through. So it's definitely an advantage. We can remove this file system, physical file-based storage, so that a lot of physical space consumption and the maintenance will be eliminated. So you will manage your documents more efficiently and easy to access manner. And also versioning also much easier here. If any change happen, change control or change management would be much easier because everything will be tracked as part of the change. And enhanced collaboration. If you want to share the document with multiple people, that can also be doable from this particular document management system through your ERP T codes. So for the review or for edit or or view only access, all those can be possible. Streamlined business process, that's the most important thing. Okay, you can enable the workflow automation. So even the people get change in the organization, the process will be same, and already it's set up in the system. The new people also will follow the same. That means no learning curve or no need to depend on someone else. The system will automatically take care of the business process automation what we have set up in the system. Reduced paperwork, the physical papers can be eliminated. Literally, we have done this work in many organizations. We saw that at every accounting department or the purchase department, the tables used to be filled up with the stack of files. Huge volume of files used to be there on that. Okay, but currently we are on the digital transformed world. So there's no point in still banking on those physical papers, right? So with the help of DMS, you can eliminate all those bundles of papers with the digital transformation from the source. If the data is loaded to the system, then from automatically remaining, everything will happen through this. So this particular digital documents than a physical paperwork. So that's the most important thing that will help you to save a lot of space and also the chaos at your employee desks. You can eliminate a lot of printing, courier, and fax. All those can be eliminated. And improved compliance. A lot of regulatory compliances, audit trails, history, everything will be maintained automatically. So it's easy to address the compliance aspects. And accurate retrieval, because it's in such a way your documents are available, you can search them, retrieve them, and share it with the concerned or the requested departments or the users, whoever requested that information. This one we already discussed. This can be integrated with any of the SAP systems. The data security, this also we discussed. There's a lot of stringent access control. You know the SAP authorization framework. The same will be applicable for DMS also. And top of it, DMS has a little bit more of additional security aspects, using which you can achieve all the required level of security of data. So a lot of cost savings can be achievable, improved decision making, because all the documents at a single place. For example, if it is related to a purchase order, if it is related to a supplier invoice, suppose if all the supporting information at a single place, the decision making would be definitely much easier and faster. So you can take the quick decisions instead of waiting for or requesting for more documentation from different parties or the different department users. So if everything is loaded there, automatically you can access that information a click away in the SAP system, and you can take the decisions or the approvals or rejections, whatever, it can be done very easily. The scalability, SAP systems always consider the scalable options, scalability considerations. So the DMS is also a scalable system. It can handle the high volume of loads. In terabytes of loads can be handled in this system without much performance issues, and also easy to manage. Customization, we can build our own wrappers on top of this DMS, either standard transaction codes, or you can build your G transaction codes to handle specific needs of yours. So all those can be possible. It's as good as like whatever you do the customization aspects in SAP, like G or some configuration through configuration of G, most of them are available for DMS as well. Let's go through some of the use cases. Let's take the example of engineering and manufacturing use case. For example, the product documentation. Okay, so there will be a lot of documentation happen against engineering documents or in any specific product. It can be a drawing, or it can be a specification, or the various information we prepare again related to that particular product. It can be a manual. Okay, so all those information can be attached against the product master. Okay, so that every stakeholder is able to access this information. Any changes happen, they can see the old version or the new version. The version updates can be broadcasted, so that the product documentation can be maintained with the utmost traceability and easy to access. Quality control, it's like, even though we do a lot of things in SAP in terms of quality inspection, but sometimes what we do is like we do the quality inspection on pen and paper sometimes, where we cannot take the systems. Okay, suppose some quality inspection in the ad or in the field level. Okay, there you cannot carry your systems, or sometimes mobile device also may not be possible. Their cases, you might have a checklist. Okay, that checklist you will fill it when you visit, when you inspect that particular project, or the whatever it is, the goods or whatever it is. So whenever that information is captured on the paper, you can translate into the digital format, and you can attach to the standard quality T codes along with your whatever the recordings you are made against that. So this physical paper, the digital copy of the physical paper will help you to just like check as and when required easily, along with the data that you captured within SAP. Change management. Okay. So in case of engineering products, there is a lot of change management used to happen. So that engineering change management also can be handled through DMS systems. Any changes or any version changes or any specific changes, you can go through the series of approvals. On approval only, it can be communicated to all the respective users. Maintenance records is mainly related to the plant maintenance activities or the asset maintenance activities. Okay, so if any maintenance activities are happening outside system, the checklists are outside system, you can digitize them and store against that maintenance orders in SAP, and so that they can be accessible as an evidence as and when required, as per the compliance and the regulations. Supplier documentation, this is more related to the master data related documentation. Suppose you are collecting this documentation from the supplier, like a cancelled check related to bank evidence, or can be a GST certificate, or can be a certificate of incorporation, or the PAN card Xerox copy, or the scanned copy. So what are the documents you are collecting as in proof or MSME certificate like that? So all those documents, whatever you collected from the suppliers, those can be loaded to that particular supplier master or the vendor master in SAP, and they can be accessible along with the master record of that particular vendor in the system. Coming to healthcare and life sciences. So in case of healthcare, like hospitals and all, there is the possibility that they can digitize the document of patients, or the medical history documents or diagnostic reports. All those can also be digitized and loaded to the system directly to SAP. And regulatory compliance. Okay, in case of any regulatory compliance related documents are there in terms of clinical trials or the drug approvals, there can be used to be a lot of huge documentation used to happen. So all those documents can also be attached to SAP DMS through SAP ERP system itself, and they will be useful during the audits. Research documentation, there will be a lot of R&D labs will be involved with the life sciences and these departments, these particular type of companies. So the documentation can also be attached to the system. Finance and accounting, no need to say, there is used to be a lot of invoices, mainly invoices and contracts flow through this department. So all your invoices, either it can be a supplier invoices or the customer invoices, all those documents you can digitize and store it in SAP itself. And whether it can be a physically signed or a digitally signed, all those data can be stored within SAP itself, related to your payables or receivables. Audit trail related information. Okay, any document wise, if any changes are happening, any evidence is getting changed, all those can be tracked so that the audit trail will be available related to all this documentation. So it will enable the utmost transparency and integrity of the information. And this will be more helpful during the audits. Supplier documents we already discussed. Asset management, asset related manuals or asset related maintenance manuals, or it can be asset related maintenance checklist. All those can be attached against those assets based on the periodic activities that are happening with respect to those assets. Coming to human resource department, you can maintain your employee records like employee photograph or employee onboarding documents like education qualification documentation, or the statutory documents like Aadhaar, PAN, all those documents or the profile and all. So all those informations can also be loaded to this DMS system and mapped to your employee master record in the SAP HR module, so that they can be viewable or accessible from there directly. Or as and when the employee is progressing in terms of their trainings and all, those training certificates can also be attached as and when the employee career progresses in the organization. Same way, offboarding documentation as well. In case of exit formalities, there will be a lot of documentation involved and the signing process happens. So all those documents also you can move to DMS and link to the employee master in SAP, so that in future, if at all required, you can easily access those documents. Safety procedures, policies, any compliance documentation, all those can also be made available through DMS. And if you have some compliance portals or the policy portals, you can link those there as well, so that those documents can be directly accessible through those systems, maybe outside SAP as well. Some other use cases, it's a generic non-transactional use cases like legal documents. So they're not necessarily specific to a SAP transaction. In most of the cases, we observe that customers are using SAP DMS only to store the transactional data, like your invoice data or your purchase order data related documents, or your exports imports related documentation or the quotations. These are the five to six different sets of data only getting used by the customers for DMS aspects. But that's not the limit. We can use the DMS to store your non-transactional documents, which are at the organizational level as well. That means it's a generic DMS capability also you can utilize from DMS system. Okay, like any legal contracts or the rental agreements or any case files or the court records, all those documents you can load to the system in a separate category and secured manner, and those will be accessible only to a specific set of people or the specific department. They can retrieve it as and when required, or any progress happens on those documents, you can update the latest with new versions as well. So that you can eliminate those physical file storage also through SAP DMS. Compliance documentation we already discussed. Product data we already discussed. Supplier agreements, exports and imports related documents, if anything is there irrespective of the transaction, those also can be maintained here. Okay, so while implementing DMS, okay, might be most of you might be already using DMS and may not be using DMS. So if you're new to DMS, this particular section might be useful to you. Okay. So as part of your digital transformation, okay, so you want to eliminate the paper-based file movements in your organization through a digitalized process. So you need to consider these few steps, okay. System requirements, okay. Many people feel that DMS is a heavy system that requires a lot of resources and all. It's not true, okay. The DMS is a very lightweight system, okay. It hardly requires 8 GB of RAM and minimal CPU would be good enough. And for development, there won't be much storage, so 200 GB of disk space would be good enough. In case of production, the 16 GB RAM would be good enough. If you have a huge volume of access to this DMS, then you might increase to 32 GB or something like that. But you can start off with 16 GB and you can scale it up later, if by looking at the observation or the performance considerations. Okay, the disk space I put just like this. I want TB, but it's not really necessary. But you need to assess the number of documents. For example, your invoice copy digitally signed is taking 1 MB of space or 500 KB of space. Like that, I'm going to have, I can say that 5,000 invoices per month. So you need to just calculate the multiplications and you convert into the MBs and GBs. That would be good enough to understand how much space you really require. So first you need to understand what are the documents you are going to store in the DMS and the volume of it per month basis or per year basis, and the average size of the document. Based on that, you can calculate the disk space requirements very easily. Integration with existing SAP modules. So you need to identify all the standard T codes in which you are feeling that the attachments are required, like purchase order level. So you might be printing the purchase order and getting signed by few set of authorities, and you want to store back that the signed purchase order copy. Okay, so the scanned copy you can store against the purchase order PO like MG22N or MG23, and there you can attach these particular PO scanned copies, so they will be accessible forever against that particular purchase order. Same way, you want to store some GRN related documents. Whenever goods receipt is happening, you want to store some of the information from the transporter, or you want to store some of the information related to supplier invoices or the way bills. So all those information can be attached at that level. Okay, so you need to identify where all you feel that there are the physical documents are applicable. So assess those areas and link them to the SAP standard T codes, and then you can identify, okay, these 20 T codes are involved with the physical papers. I want to digitalize them and move to the digital transformation or the with the help of DMS. And not only this particular T codes, there might be a lot of G processes you have defined in your organization. So identify the GT codes as well. So through those GT codes, any documentation work is involved and you want to attach them. So you need to extend those programs to link with DMS by enabling a attaching provision of documents through those module pool programs that are developed already. Let us assess these two areas before starting off. And you need to identify the training needs as well. Okay, because who all are going to be the end users, what are the education level of them, are they able to do it, or if they want to follow this process, how you can educate them. So training needs you to understand and define the change management process. And data migration, this is another thing. Okay, it's like you might be under dilemma. Okay, you might have already your last 7 to 10 years of physical documents are already there in the organization. So is it a good idea or bad idea to move to SAP? Okay. So I can say that it's a case-to-case based decision, but it depends on the number of volume of documents and also the infrastructure availability to scan them or automation of the scanning and all that stuff. So if you are able to digitize them, definitely that can be loadable to DMS system, and also you can link to the old documents or the business of old transactions that are got already recorded in the system. Suppose there is an invoice, supplier invoice, which is of 3 years old, you can still attach the document to that particular supplier invoice copy in SAP, or the Miro transaction in SAP, Miro document in SAP. That's still possible. Okay, there are various ways. Okay, we even have some solutions to do the bulk loading of documents from, suppose you have thousands of documents, you can prepare a small metadata Excel sheet. You can give the folder and that Excel metadata. With the help of that, the SAP will run for a few hours and load all those documents to your SAP DMS system and link to the standard transactions within SAP. Security and access control. This is the important thing. So it's like, it's not necessary that every document will be visible to all, right? So considering that, you need to first define your hierarchy of your documents. Like you need to classify or categorize your documents. Okay, this type of document should be visible to the group of people A, and the another set will be visible to group B, and another group set should be visible to group C and group D, like that. So first you need to categorize which document should be accessible to which people. With that matrix, we can define the access control system, and also we can define the classification of documents, like document types or the document categorization can be done SAP, or we can define the multiple repositories if at all required, because DMS, in DMS we can create multiple repositories as well. Repository is nothing but a bucket. Okay, within bucket you can put a small separators. So those are called document types. So I can create multiple repositories. Within that, again, each repository is divided into the multiple categories of documents. So based on the security and access control mechanism, we'll define or we decide how many repositories are required for you to ensure the security and access mechanisms. And accordingly, we'll slice the DMS system, and you can start. We can configure the system in that fashion and link to the standard transaction codes. And after that, users can start using it with the proper security and access controls. So before implementing DMS, we strongly recommend that you need to answer few of the questions. These are some of those questions. Okay. What documents do you want to manage within SAP? Okay, so you want to manage only transactional data, transaction related documents, or you want to manage whole organizational documents? If it is a whole organizational document, what all those documents are there? It's like how you want to manage or how you want to access them. All those will come into here. So if you first answer this, then automatically the DMS consultant or your partner can ask in terms of security, or how should those documents be accessible, etc. And how are these documents fit in your business process? Like suppose I say that these are the supplier invoices or the purchase order copies or the some LR copies, etc. So, or the POD copies. So how these documents play a role in the whole business process? Okay. For example, in case of procure to pay, you will have a purchase order copy. In GRN level, you might have some other additional documents like way bill or the supplier invoice copy, or some other evidences or some other documentation that carried along with the goods sent by the supplier or transporter. Okay, so you need to identify map these documents at each stage of the business process. So that would help you to enable the required automation or the process more streamlined in terms of your digital journey. And the search mechanism, okay, that's also another important. Suppose you just loaded the document, okay, and if you want to search and find the document, if it is with only the number, so it's hard for you to remember the numbers, right? So along with the document, you need to add a few metadata as well, so that the search can work on top of that meta, and your documents can be easily retrievable or the searchable from the repository. So if it is an invoice, how do you want to search? Based on the invoice number, or based on the supplier name, or based on some other criteria, right? So those criteria you should define. So accordingly, the DMS implementer will configure the system to store that information as and when the documents are getting created in the system. What is the change control process? Suppose, is it a first time you load and close the document, or is it going to be a draft, then someone need to review it, or someone need to modify it in the stage wise or the level wise, and once all over, then it will be locked. So this mechanism you need to define. So in what all documents comes under this change control process, you need to mark them, and you need to write few lines about how does that change control should work. So accordingly, the implementer will plan the workflow automations of the status management activities. This will be applicable for the above only. Any approval processes are involved. Which business roles are involved in the process? Okay, when you are mapping the documents to each stage of the business process, who is going to do what? Security requirements, and what type of files to be stored. This is also another important thing. Is it only images, or the PDFs, or the docs, or Excel sheets? So what all documents you want to allow in your DMS system, so that we can enable only those type of document extensions while loading, so that you can eliminate the malware intrusions into your system by unknowingly by the users. So we can restrict at a specific level. So these file extensions also you need to finalize. So accordingly, each document type or the category wise, we can put these restrictions. And the numbering, these also, every document we are loading, that will be associated with a one number series. Okay, so not only number series, it's like a document type wise number series will come. Okay, so considering that you want to give a special different number series for different category of documents, that can also be possible in DMS. So you can define that, okay, I need 1,100 series for all the invoices, or 200 series for all these purchase order copies, like that. You can define your number series ranges, so that by looking at the document number itself, you can identify, oh, these are the invoices, or these are the purchase orders, or these are the legal documents, something like that. Any special change history requirements? And versions and revisions. Suppose if you have a docx files uploaded and someone need to download it and edit it and change something, and check-in checkout process will happen through this. So if you identify any such versioning is required for the documents, you need to inform the partner, so that they can enable the versioning or the change control process to the documents. Accordingly, the tracking will be enabled on top of those documents. This is for the multilingual. Suppose if your SAP is getting used across multiple geography locations, and the documents might be common sometimes, or they are language specific. So if you have any such requirements, you need to highlight them, so that there is a possibility to handle the language specific cases as well within DMS, so that those can be enabled as part of the search functionality of DMS. Okay, document size and volume, that is also another thing. Requirements and the number of users who are accessing it based on your compute requirements or the RAM requirements will be defined. So this is very crucial to give a better experience to the users on the day one itself. Or sometimes what will happen, day one we plan a minimalistic infrastructure, but after 1 year that may not be sufficient enough. But if we have these numbers at the beginning, we can assess, okay, till 1 year this infrastructure would be good, but you need to upgrade it after 1 year, something like this. So those planning can be done in advance. And the document retention requirements, this is mainly to handle the archival process of the documents. So how long you want to retain the documents, you want to do the automated archival of the documents, you want to enable those things, and you need to define this mechanism, retention mechanism. And all these documents are going to use within SAP ERP system, or anything to be outside, those also you need to consider if any interfacing is required. And data migration requirements we already discussed, and any trainings, and how this DMS is going to impact your organization. Is it going to help your organization? What all the manners that you need to define? Like, I want to see that my employee desks are clean and paperless, for example. That might be one line goal of mine as a CIO. In that case, that will help the partner to vision the project in the direction, to identify those areas, those important areas, and implement the DMS in such a way that you can achieve that particular goal. Okay, coming to the implementation steps. So we strongly recommend any such new tools or these type of tools implementation in a multi-phased manner. Okay, because a big change at a first go itself would be difficult to digest or handle, and also it would be difficult for you to maintain as well. So considering that, we can go in the continuous improvement manner, or the continuous innovation manner. So the first one is like a phase one. We can strongly recommend that you set up your DMS servers and enable this DMS functionality against your standard transactions, like your invoices or the purchase orders, quality documents, those can be enabled as part of this, as part of phase 1. And in the phase 2, you can think of your non-transactional documents or the master data document storage management. Even master data can be moved to phase 1 also, because they are straightforward. Non-transactional, you might come across a historical data load of non-transactional document, your legal agreements, rental agreements, etc. All those you want to store it here, or your tender document agreements, etc. So all those need to be stored in the system, right? So you want to store your last 2 years data as well. In those cases, there might be a need of you need to write bulk uploader programs. Okay, so those programs will help you to automate this loading of these documents in bulk manner to the system. In a week time, you can load thousands of documents, and your system is ready for non-transactional. So considering there are significant set of activities or the developments involved, we recommend to do it in the phase 2. The third phase is going to be enable automation workflows. One simple example I can say, we implemented for many of our customers, the bills process automation. Okay, the bills process automation is nothing but your vendor bills are coming, reaching to your factory or the department user. Okay, so from there they flow to different cities probably, or maybe different offices. Okay, depends on the size of your organization, and go through a lot of scrutinization at different levels. So the paper is flowing across multiple tables. Okay, so what we have done is, like, once the DMS setup is done, as a second step or third step, we implemented bills process automation. Our standard solution is available. What it will do is, like, okay, the factory user, just after GRN, they load the document to the system, SAP ERP system, through our bills process cockpit. They just upload with the reference of PO number and the GRN number, attach all the documents there. They will initiate the bill process. So once the bill process is initiated, it will automatically go through the series of approvals. After factory user, it can be the department HOD, after the procurement user or the buyer. After that, it can be through some commercial HOD or the commercial user. Then it may go through the your accounting user, then accounting HOD. So all these processes can be go through. Just open the particular cockpit and access their bucket and see the backlog and access them. Review the documents directly from there and approve it or reject it. If you reject it, it will go back to the previous stage. So like this, you can build this type of workflows. It's not only bill process automation. It can be this type of process automations can be enabled at various levels. Okay, so after the DMS is set up and stable, we recommend to go with this type of automation activities so that you can get the best results out of your DMS system. And also, with the help of these automation workflows, the advantage is going to be, like, no need to upload the documents at multiple levels. Once the document is loaded, the first step, the same documents will be linked to the subsequent transactions. For example, in the bills process automation, the documents are uploaded as part of GRN. Okay, so the same documents will be linked to your MIRO or MIR7 or to the next level, whatever the series of transactions you are creating. Or maybe subsequent debit notes or subsequent credit notes you are issuing with the help of some quality documents, they can also be linked there. So something like that. So we can control the duplication of the document uploads in one way. And second thing is, you are automating the document flow across the whole business process. Everyone will be aware of these documents, all the set of documents involved with that particular transaction, and they can have the holistic view and they can take the decisions. Okay, and also in the last slides, we have given a lot of questions, right? So once you answer those questions, there can be a planning and scoping can take place. And after that, installation and configuration based on the scoping that was done as part of the answers that you have provided. And any data migration activities as part of the cutover or the go live, we can plan those. Like, you want to load this current financial year data only, or maybe last 3 years data. So whatever it is, the partners can study the data quality and the possibility, and they can load it to the system so that you can get rid of those physical files or the physical storage. And at the end, you need to plan the training to your users so that they can follow the same process going forward, so that you will really achieve that paperless concept within your organization. And the last part is the last point. It's not it's the most important thing, because you are getting rid of your physical copies, or you are reducing the maintenance activities of these physical copies, considering that the sensitivity of these digital documents is very high in terms of statutory and various aspects. So it is always advisable and recommended that you should have the periodic backups on your data, so that at any point of time, if server crashes, if something goes wrong, you should be in a position to recover back till the last minute document. At the same time, we recommend to go for the DR infrastructure as well. Okay, disaster recovery infrastructure at a different site or the different server. It depends on the feasibility. So plan that as well so that your documents will be safer because they are going to be retained for a longer time. Okay, sometimes it's more than 7 years as well. So that is also very simple in case of SAP DMS because SAP DMS comes with the MaxDB or file system storage. So we recommend to go with the MaxDB because DB is a well consistent and well organized engine than a file system based storage or the folder based storage. Okay, so folder based these storage may be vulnerable to different aspects, security aspects. So the strong recommendation is going to be DB based approach. So if it is a DB, then automatically you can schedule the backups, you can schedule the log backups, and also you can enable the replication to the DR site so that the infrastructure will be in the high available manner or the disaster controlled manner. Okay, so we also have few solutions on top of the SAP DMS. More about this can be discussed in the next webinar, but I will give you a quick brief. Okay. One of our solution is a business process automation, that is a BPA we call, or in some other companies of the competitors, they call vendor invoice management, supplier invoice management. All these are synonyms. Okay. So the business process automation is a process, this is a solution on top of SAP. That means no need to depend anything on outside SAP systems. Okay, it's simply within your SAP system only. It's a small add-on, or I can say that set of programs and tables through which you can achieve the whole supplier bill process can be automated, whether it's a PO-based process or non-PO-based process. So various cases can be covered as part of this bills process automation, along with statutory verifications. So the supplier bills goes through automated workflow, and physical file movement can be eliminated so that you can save a lot of time, and you can see that where exactly that particular bill got struck, and also you can eliminate the missing bills concept as well. Most of the cases, we observe that the bills reach a departmental user or a HOD and they forget those bills in the desk or they misplace it in the bag or somewhere. And when the vendor reminds after a month or two, they realize, oh, that bill is missing. They started requesting the vendor to submit a new bill with the new date, or sometimes they try to process those bills. Okay. But considering it's a statutory violation, because some of your vendors might be MSME, they should be paid within specific number of days if the material is accepted. So considering a lot of dependencies on this bills process, so this digital bill processing or the BPA bills process automation ensure that all the bills can be loaded on time to the system. Also, you can automate through your mail-based email-based attachments. Also, we can take it, or you can have some supplier portals or some vendor portals. From there, also this can be linked to this process, so that whenever the vendor upload the bill can be pushed to SAP against that particular order or the service entry sheet or the goods receipt. So from there, the bills process will start off, so that you can see the backlog, and we can eliminate the at least 99% of the bills. We can avoid missing those bills with the users. Okay, so whenever the bills come, they will be digitized and stored in the DMS system and linked to your standard T codes, and they will flow along with your business process. And Miro and payment instructions can be automated through this system, so that you can eliminate the data entry job as well. Just users will go there, they will input their data, and if any quality linking is required, quality inspection linking also possible in this solution. So based on that, you want to do bill discounting or you want to do some subsequent credit debit notes, all those can be automated. And this is a customizable solution, so that you can easily you can easily create the subsequent documents without missing. In case you are doing the manual Miro, if the user forgets the subsequent credit note or debit note, you will be in trouble. So, but through this system, this will help you to make sure that the subsequent documents are automatically created based on the data fed by the user in the system or in the particular tree codes. And also, we have a provision to validate your EUA bills or validate your IR numbers as well, so that you will be clear that that particular document is already before making the payment or before making the Miro, posting the Miro. Okay. Suppose you might be parking in the MIR7, the posting can happen only after the bill is reflected in the GST portal, for example. Those type of things can also be achieved through here. Or you want to just validate the invoice, that is also possible in this solution. Okay, through our ASP tax modules, there are some other modules available through our ASP tax product. If you deploy those products, this solution can be integratable with that and exchange the information. It will help you to validate statutory part as well, so that your ITC will be safeguarded. And payment instructions, printing of the instructions, if at all required, we strongly don't recommend. Okay, so if at all required, you can download the instructions as PDF, or you can email them directly from here. And this is a cockpit-based approach. So it's like a single T code-based approach from which you can do all the activities. It's not necessary to remember 10, 15 T codes and do those activities at different places. But it's like from a single cockpit, you will do all the activities based on the user roles and authorizations. The menu options will differ or change, or the bill process queues will change. Anyhow, we are going to demonstrate in some of the next webinars or the future webinars. Whole trail will be maintained, history of the approvals, rejections, remarks, everything will be maintained as part of this one, so that you have the whole trail, what happened against a particular bill. At any given time, you can transparently say that this bill got struck up because of these particular issues. And directly from here, you can navigate to your MyRow, GRN, PO, or whatever the T codes applicable, standard T codes, you can jump in there directly. And directly you can see the attached documents also. If you have 10, 15 documents attached, or if you have one document attached, all those can be viewed directly from there, from this cockpit itself, while during the approval process or the review process. And the most important thing is like it's not a hard-coded thing. It's a highly configurable solution. You have the status code based controls are there on each status code level. What are the next actions and next status code? So that flow will be automatically controlled through that mechanism. So it's highly configurable as per your approval process. So there's another solution we are having. Okay, I'm going to take a couple of more minutes before getting into Q&A. So the solution called P-Collab, it's outside SAP solution. Okay, this is more related to the partner collaboration. This solution is more towards enabling a self-service capabilities to your external stakeholders. The external stakeholders like your vendors, customers, transporters. So all these will access this portal. They can exchange the information with you related to your SAP standard transactions. Like you want to onboard a vendor, that can be doable from here. You just initiate a email link to them or a SMS link through which they can fill their data, submit the document, attach the document, they can submit back, and automatically that that information will come back for your review. And once you approve, that will go and create a master in SAP, vendor master or the customer master directly in SAP. So like that, we have the partner onboarding module. We have the module for the purchase order exchange. We have a module for advance shipping notice, gate pass management, and RFQ. Like this, all your supply chain can be managed. Whoever the stakeholders involved in your supply chain management, all will use this portal for self-service. They can upload their bills. They can initiate a shipping notes to you so that you can plan further on reacting to the goods that are going to come to your plant on a specific date and time. So all those automations can be achievable from here. It's tightly linked to your SAP system, and it will automate the SAP transaction postings as well, like your invoice posting to SAP, or the RFQ creations in SAP, or PO automations also possible. Automatically after RFQ is awarding, you want to create a PO within SAP, that is also possible. So like that, it's the purpose of it is like the stakeholder take care of the data or the owns the data, then some data entry guy in your organization sitting and doing his job. So here also we are using SAP DMS as the backend engine to store the documents. Whenever the data is flowing to SAP, that will update the standard transaction code and also update SAP DMS with the required documentation that is flowing from the respective parties. So these are some of the features. It's a very, very big platform. So there we can develop many things based on your organizational needs. We also have, I discussed that there is a bulk uploader. This is more related to your historical data load. Like you want to migrate your last 5 years data from other DMS system to SAP, or they are in the files manner, you want to load it to the system. So this bulk uploader solution is going to helpful for you to load those documents to SAP. Okay, so that's all for now from my side. I'm opening the Q&A session. If you have any questions, please feel free to post in the Q&A section or in the chat window so that I will try to address them as much as possible. So next week, we are going to discuss more on the bills process automation solution. After that, there is one more webinar we are planning on the DMS that is more related to the DMS and SAP BTP. Suppose a lot of customers are now migrating to RISE with SAP because that's the future roadmap of SAP. So every customer eventually should go and end there in the RISE with SAP solution. So considering that, how your DMS journey should be planned if you are going to RISE with SAP, because your DMS and whole this document should also be carried there, right? So for that purpose, BTP has a inbuilt DMS service. So that service aspects we are going to give you awareness. If any of you are planning for Rise with SAP in near future, or you want to go with the cloud-based DMS of SAP, then that webinar is going to be very valuable for you. Okay, so Kiran, you can enable the Q&A session, and please just read out me the question so that I will try to answer as much as possible.
Yeah. Thank you, Nalini. Thank you for the helpful webinar. There are few questions in the queue waiting for your valuable insights. Let me come out the questions. The first one, what are the security features of SAP DMS?
Yeah, as I said, it's like you can control the access by document category or document type. Okay, that's based on that those specific set of people access those particular document types only. That's a one way. And also there is a other security feature is like authorization groups concept is available. So you can group the people into different authorization groups, G-authorization groups, and you can map against those documents. So if that authorization group is assigned to a person, then only they can see the document. And also there is an option to control the edit and delete, create, edit, and delete. It's like a complete create, edit, delete, and view. Those four activity action level also we can control the authorizations of a user. Okay, so these are the three levels of authorizations available in SAP for DMS. Hope I clarified the question.
Okay. Do we need any separate licenses for SAP DMS?
No, DMS is a content server is as part of your regular SAP ECC or S4HANA license package. So you are freely entitled to start using DMS without any additional licenses.
What security features does SAP DMS offer?
I think I already answered that query. Probably it's a repetition.
Yes. What can be the backup strategy for SAP DMS?
Yeah, the backup strategy is like, as I explained, the backup is most important thing for DMS systems because any server crash or the disk failures, and in that case, if you don't have a backup, it's going to create a big trouble, right? Because the data, some of these documents to be retained for more than 7 years as per statutory or compliance aspects, and also heavy dependency on these documents by the users on day-to-day operations. So the backup strategy should be, my recommendation should be at least a 1 full DB backup on a daily basis, along with an incremental backup. Incremental backup is nothing but your log backups on every 5 minutes or 10 minutes manner, or it's like logs will be automatically generated by the max DB. So every 10-15 minutes you should have a log backup. It depends on your RPO and RTO, but still I recommend that keep it around 15 minutes or less than that for these log backups. It depends on the it is purely depending on the volume of data that is getting updated in the DMS system. If it is the high volume, then you can even schedule this frequency for 5 minutes as well, the log backup frequency. And
do we require
in a separate location? That's a strong recommendation, not in the same server. In case of any ransomware or any attacks happens, you will lose everything. So that should be in separate isolated network linked to these particular servers so that your backups will be more safe. Yeah, Kiran, please go ahead. You were trying to say something.
Yeah. Do we require separate server for DMS? That's what.
It is recommendable. Okay, so it's like the content server can work within your regular ERP database as well. Okay, like you might be using Oracle or Sybase or the HANA. Okay, but the problem with that one is like DMS easily occupies a lot of space because they are multimedia documents like JPEG images or the PNG images or drawing files, or can be big PDF files, scanned PDF files, so that it's the size isn't going to be in MBs. 10 MB, 50 MB, 20 MB as well in some cases, depends on the number of pages. Okay, so unnecessarily increasing the load on your primary database is not advisable. Okay, so considering that, I recommend personally that keep it a separate node for the DMS so that the DMS load and DMS database will be handled on its own instead of creating a burden on the your primary or core ERP database. So in short, it is recommendable to keep it as a separate node.
Okay. There is one more question. whether SAP DMS provides any engine to scan a document in a compressed mode and to automatically create metadata from the scanned file. Do we require?
Unfortunately, no. Yeah. Go ahead. Please read out the full question again, Kiran. I think there is some more
Yeah,
left in the question. Yeah.
whether SAP DMS provides any engine to scan a document in a compressed mode and to automatically create metadata from the scanned file. That's it.
Unfortunately, no. Okay, there are some third-party tools available which will do this job because it's a job to be done outside SAP system. Okay, this is as per my knowledge. Okay, there might be some improvements, but if at all you guys come across, please share that article so that I can share my better insight on top of it. But as per my knowledge, there is no inbuilt functionality within SAP. We need to depend on some external tool which can do the scanning automations. On top of it, compression of the documents automatically and generate metadata as well automatically. Okay, so once this is done, that can be pushed to DMS, but this should happen outside your SAP system.
Okay. The next question is, can we store documents generated outside SAP in DMS system?
We can do that. It's like documents like legal agreements or some court cases or some files, confidential files, or some research documents. All those can be stored in the DMS and a specific section or the category of particular document category. So, and you can enable the required permissions or security to that so that not all people access those. It is possible.
Okay. There is one more question. How much time does it takes to implement DMS?
It depends. Okay, so as I said, the DMS roadmap or the planner, right? There are three phases I recommended. Okay, phase one, phase two, phase three. Okay, it depends. If you want to go with a big bang approach, then we need to understand what all the functionalities are, the features and the process automations you want to achieve through DMS. Based on that, it will vary. In case it's a simple DMS setup and integration with your standard transaction codes or linking the documents to your standard transaction codes as part of your process or your any add-ons you are using. In that case, typically it will take less than 4 weeks time or up to 4 weeks time. Okay, it depends on any G involvement. If no G involvement, even it can be reduced further. But in case the process automations and all are there, maybe it may become a 2 to 3 months project as well. It depends on the complexity and the volume of development we need to do.
Okay. Which version of DMS is compatible for our SAP?
Is a PAM available? That's a good question. Okay, so we'll share that PAM matrix. Okay, but most of the occasions, latest content servers are compatible with all the SAP ECC versions. Okay, but still there is a product availability matrix we need to follow based on our ECC EHP level or S4 version level versus the content server number. Okay, so through PAM we can consider that. If at all someone want to know in detailed manner, they can drop an email to us. I forgot to mention in my email ID here. I'll write it here straight away. It's kumar.n@incresol.com. If someone drops an email here, so then I'll try to answer back to them the exact versions. Okay, hope I answered the query.
Can SAP DMS handle large volumes of documents?
Yes, it can handle. We saw that around 5 terabyte or 10 terabyte databases as well on DMS, and they are working well. Because the real part is like we don't access the old documents so frequently. Most of the times our access depends on the last 1 year or last 6 months to 1 year documents. So considering that the indexing and everything is good there, so that's they can handle the load, high volumes.
There is one more question only.
Yeah,
Is
please.
DR required for SAP DMS?
If your backup and the incremental backup or the full DB backups are in a very good shape, then DR can be avoided. Okay, in case you are doubtful about your backups and you are not performing any drills against those backups, then DR is advisable. And also it's purely depending on your okay, it's like RTO based. Okay, suppose your recovery time is very less. suppose your business can digest hours of return, it's like recovery time, then in that case the backups is not, and in that case DR is suggestible, because restoring the backup definitely will take time, right? So restoring the backup along with the log files, it will take few hours of time. So if the business is not having that much of patience to wait, or the sustainability for that much time, in that case we strongly recommend to go with the DR, so that you can activate the DR and link the DR to the your core ERP system. Then automatically that should work. Your business continuity cannot be disturbed, and it will be within your RTO. So the driving factor is RTO.
Yeah, Nalini, we are running out of the time, but there is one more question. Please try to clear this one.
Sure, please go ahead. We can extend by a couple of minutes or 5 minutes, not an issue.
Okay. Any approval workflows are possible in SAP DMS?
Yes, there are possible. As I said, it's a status management based workflows are possible. So we can define those, and based on the document status, it will go to the next level approvals and all approvers, and they can review, they can edit, and once they approve, it will go to multi-level approvals are possible in DMS.
Okay. Okay, the final one is, what is the DB used in SAP DMS?
The DB is like, in case you are going with the standalone node of DMS, the preferable DB is a max DB. Okay, that's a free version of SAP for the SAP customers. So MaxDB is the database engine for DMS.
Yeah, that's all, Nalini.
Okay, so hope everyone enjoyed the session and you got some decent takeaways from this session. I would like you to see you all in the next session as well. That is more towards how you can achieve bills process automation, where the months of bills processing time can be reduced to few days or less than a week time. Okay, so we'd like to talk about that. Okay, that solution, how does it work and all, in the next webinar. And next, the plan is more on the BTP based DMS activities. If you want to use the DMS from your SAP BTP business technology platform, so there's a future of SAP. So if at all any of you interested on that, so that webinar also on the way, probably from here it's after 2 weeks. Okay, so thank you all. Thank you for attending the webinar, and hope you enjoyed the session. Would like to see you all in the next webinars. Have a nice evening.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for listening. And you are all welcome.